Former Giants coach Jim Fassel with Armin and Levac on 104.5 The Team. And coach, as we look at the last minute 43 seconds of Sunday Night Football's game, Cowboys-Giants, what was your observation as that went down on Sunday night with the clock mismanagement on the Giants' end?
You can't have the players manage the clock and do those things. I think Eli Manning, I know what he was thinking, just kill the clock and then we'll score. But at the end of the day, you can't do that. You got to let the coach decide those things, and it cost them big time.
So Coach Coughlin publicly said he has no problem with Eli doing that. You're saying from your perspective you would not have Eli be making those decisions.
That's right. Those are coaching decisions, and I think Tom Coughlin is protecting Eli, but it really did cost him the game. And those are the things that the coach has to decide on. And if he costs the game, he costs the game. That's coaching. But you don't want the players to make decisions as far as, well, we'll kill the clock, and then we'll score. And, players get wrapped up in, what they're got to do, where coaches are thinking of the big picture of how I'm going to operate this whole thing.
Coach, did you have somebody on your staff whose job was to monitor situations and give you, recommendations based on where you were at in the clock, especially in a situation like the Giants were in?
Not really, because, the one thing that people overlook is that if you're an offensive coordinator or an offensive guy, you grow up learning how to manage the clock, because the offensive side of the ball manages the clock. Defense really doesn't manage the clock. And so I grew up learning how to manage the clocks with a lot of years of experience. And sometimes a defensive guy, and I'm not trying to be critical of them, they don't grow up learning how to manage the clock. And at the end of the day, leave the clock management and decisions to me as a head coach. Don't take it upon yourself when you think, well, this will work or that'll work. No. We can't have five guys with different opinions, and you surprised me that you decided to do that. No, let me decide that.
Former Giants head coach Jim Fassel with Armin and Levac on 104.5 The Team. So, Coach, Tom Coughlin is the one that it is realistic to think that he's able to juggle all the responsibilities, including, okay, Cowboys have one timeout. We have a minute 34 to go. It's realistic to think that the head coach can juggle all those things.
It's really not. I mean, you have to be in advance. You can't react to just things that happen. You've got to be able to have a strategy and think about what you're going to do. Now, the communication broke down between he and Eli, all right? But at the end of the day, John Elway told me years ago, players play, coaches coach. And let's not confuse this, okay? I'll direct the game, and I've done it for years. Let me manage the clock. What my job is with the quarterback is to explain to him how we're managing the clock. What are we going to do?
Jim Fassel, former Giants head coach with Armin and Levac on 104.5 The Team. So, Coach, I don't understand. We had Jeff Schwartz, Giants offensive lineman, on here yesterday, and I asked him, how did Eli not know that the Cowboys got a timeout back? And he told me, all of us on the field, the entire offense, was under the assumption that the Cowboys burned that timeout, and we did not know that they were giving back a timeout. How is that communication supposed to work? Who on that sideline lets the offense on the field know, guys, the Cowboys have 2 timeouts left?
Well, that's got to be communication, and you can't. You can try to get the whole offense together and explain it, but sometimes that doesn't work. Okay, but you have to have communication with a quarterback. But the starting point is long before the game started in training camp. I'll manage the clock. Okay, if you got questions, ask me, but let me manage the clock. That's what I've got to do. As a head coach, you got to do it. And I think offensive head coaches, Bill Walsh told me this years ago. He said, the offensive guys are used to managing the clock. Let me do that. Okay? I'm not playing quarterback. I'm not on the field. You got to make your decisions. I got to make my decisions, but don't make my decisions by you. And it was just, it's a learning experience, and I'm sure they got it straightened out now, but it's a little bit late right now that you got to say, we got to get this stuff straight. That stuff should have been straightened out long before that.
Coach Jim Fassel with Armin and Levac, 104.5 The Team. Coach, Eli Manning tells Rashad Jennings in the huddle, don't score here. Did you ever tell one of your players, guys, don't if you get near the end zone, drop down, don't get in there?
No. I just the rule was, and I'm repeating myself, is that let me manage the clock.
Okay.
Don't tell somebody not to run the ball in. Okay, I may have a different strategy, and that has to be understood. That has to be planned on and talked about long before that. Don't just go out and decide for yourself, we're not going to score, we're going to keep the ball and let the clock run. No, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me at all. And that's where you run into problems if you have a lack of communication.
Coach, Eli Manning signs a contract that keeps him with the Giants till he's 39. With the way he's playing right now, where's our confidence level that Eli Manning will still be a franchise quarterback at the age of 39?
Well, a lot of that has to do with injuries. There's no reason that you can't play at 39 if you take care of your body, you stay healthy, you work out, you keep your strength up, all that stuff. Now, if a guy blows out a knee or a shoulder or something like that, then, yeah, that comes into question. He's 39 years old. Is he going to be able to do this? And so it's always a gamble. It's always a gamble. And I think Eli keeps himself in good shape, works out hard. That comes from his dad, his brother, and everything else. So unless there's some major injury that would cut his career short, I think that at 39, he'd be fine.
From a head coaching perspective, how important was it for the Giants to lock up Eli Manning for 5 more years, virtually the rest of his career?
Well, the thing is that the decision you got to make is what's your alternative. I mean, yeah, they'd all like to sign a 25-year-old. Okay, they'd like to sign a 25-year-old guy that is in his prime, but where do you find one of those guys? And Eli's been in the program, and he knows what I think they want and everything else. And that's the tricky part with the quarterback. Other positions, you can say the guy, we will replace him with somebody else. Quarterback, it's hard to find those guys. So that was a lot of money for his age. And, they won the Super Bowl twice. And although they didn't have good seasons, you can't put it all at his feet. But again, the question is, it's not about Eli. It's who are we going to go find to take his place?
Coach, you coached in a lot of places, and it seems like you've got a 2-time Super Bowl MVP quarterback in Eli Manning, yet New York Giants fans, they just look for an opportunity to crush this guy. Is that just because the New York fans are tougher, or are they seeing something in Eli that I'm missing?
No, and with Eli, doing a lot of radio shows from the time he came in, I thought that he got a lot of criticism that wasn't warranted. He's a young quarterback, okay, and people were killing him when he first started. Then all of a sudden, when they won the Super Bowls, he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks. Well, I wouldn't put him there either. So I kind of defended him when he was young and everything wasn't going right, and then all of a sudden he's going to be king after a couple of years in the league, and I said, he's not ready for that. I don't think he's the guy that can just put the team on his shoulders and carry him. And so, that's the maturation of a quarterback. And so, that's what happens to all the quarterbacks. I mean, you name one that isn't that way. I mean, Steve Young, who's in the Hall of Fame, when he started out, they cut him. Brett Favre was traded. Dan Reeves tried to trade John Elway. And you just have to understand with quarterbacks, when they're young, they're going to make mistakes. You got to live with them. And then as they develop, now they become Super Bowl kind of quarterbacks. But that doesn't mean that, all of a sudden they're one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league. You got to do that over a lot of years and consistently.
Coach, when you look at the loss to the Cowboys this week, a lot of people thought the Giants were just going to get out-talented, outclassed by the Cowboys, but the only reason they lost were, clock management errors. As a coach, do you look at that and go, okay, I know there's no moral victories, but we didn't get beat. We beat ourselves. This is actually a good thing. We can fix these stupid mistakes and go on to beat a lot of teams.
Well, that's right, and that's where Tom Coughlin's got to be explained to his team. Okay, we blew it. Okay, we made mistakes, and we should have been able to win the game. So all is not lost. All right, we're not a bad football team, and I used to break down the season in 4 groupings: first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. You got 4 games in the first quarter, 4 in the second quarter, 4 in the third, 4 in the fourth. All we got to do then is let's win 3 out of 4. All right, and we can't look for a perfect season. There's only one team that's done it. And so let's get over it. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's not repeat our mistakes. We're good enough to win games, but we've identified what the problem was. Now let's not let it happen again.
Former Giants coach Jim Fassel with Armin and Levac on 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. Victor Cruz misses the home opener. He's week to week with the torn patella tendon, has not practiced in weeks now because of now a calf injury. They say it's different, but at the same time, we have not seen Victor Cruz on the field in 11 months, Coach. Do you have any experience dealing with players with this major knee surgery and how they come back? Can you give us any kind of expectations here?
Yeah, that's up to the doctors. Everybody comes off them differently, and you get worried about a player that has injuries and he's out for a long time, and, it really does affect the team. Coaches have to be able to adjust. But, I'd be concerned with Victor Cruz and how many games he's missed and time he's missed. Is he going to be able to stay healthy?
Coach, and speaking of injuries in New York, of course, now new news coming out about Jason Pierre-Paul. He's actually missing the tip of his thumb, and he had to have surgery on that middle finger as well. Your opinion of how he's handled this situation?
Well, I only get what the media puts out there, and so I don't have any inside information. I talked to John Mara last week, and we didn't even talk about that. Those things crop up, and that's what you got to deal with. I mean, I really don't know what their conversations are about. I thought it was wrong on his part to not talk to the team. I mean, they're the ones that have paid him millions of dollars, and they're counting on him. And to shut him out, to me, is not right. It's not right. He should have worked with the Giants. Here's what's happened. Here's when I can come back, yada, yada, yada. And for him not to do that is, to me, it's selfish that you need to communicate with the guys that are paying you a ton of money to be ready to play.
And, Coach, from what we understand, like you said, we're the media outside looking in. From what we understand, JPP goes to the facility last week. The Giants say, we want you back. We want you to be here. Go ahead and sign this franchise tender, and then we have the option to put you on a list where you don't play for 4 games, where you don't play for maybe 6 games. And JPP says, nope, I think I can play before then, and he leaves. If you're a head coach and he leaves under those terms, how does that situation rub off on you?
Well, I would just say, we're not going to count on him. If he comes back, but he's got to come back under our terms. And, you just can't have rogue players that I'll tell you what I'm doing. You're looking for everybody, coaches, scouts, players, everybody. We're a team, and a team works together, and we help each other. And right now, he's not showing me that he's willing to do that. And that's a sad deal. But sometimes when a guy makes enough money, he feels very independent. I don't need you as much. Well, that's not a good sign. So whatever's going on behind the closed doors, I don't know. But they need to get him aboard with what they want and what he wants. And right now it doesn't seem like they're there.
Realizing that you don't have that insider information, but you have that unique coach perspective, when you look at this situation, do you think Jason Pierre-Paul's played his last game as a Giant?
Oh, boy, that's an interesting question. I think that the only way the Giants can handle it, you're coming back on our terms. All right? We understand you made a mistake. We understand you've had an injury, all that stuff, but you can't dictate to us because, again, as a coach, you're trying to bring a team together. I got your back. You got my back. I'm all for you. I'll do whatever I can. I can help you. But you got to play ball with everybody else. And if you're just going to isolate yourself and say, I'm my own man, I'll do it when I want to do it, that doesn't sit very well with me as a coach.
Right, and it totally sounds like the Giants, that is the way they're handling it. You're under our terms, and he doesn't want to do that, and he walks out, and that's why he's in Florida doing his thing. Former coach of the Giants, Jim Fassel, with Armin and Levac on 104.5 The Team. And, Coach, of course, you have special rooting interest in the St. Louis Rams, as your son is the special teams coach there, and I know you paid close attention to the Rams upsetting the Seahawks in Week 1. The Seahawks had their own snafu at the end of that game. Can you walk us through what you saw there from your coaching perspective?
Well, I mean, I only get what I talked to my son about it, but I mean, what you got on the Seahawks side is Pete Carroll did not say onside kick. They said it was a confusion. It was pretty evident to me that it was an onside kick. Now, sometimes you can get you can get the message wrong, meaning squib it and onside it. You know, a squib is kick it deep on the ground, and an onside is try to get it over there. It certainly looked to me like it was an onside kick. Now, if the communication broke down, that's a real issue. That's a problem. And as a head coach, you got to get that straightened around now. Okay, if the special teams coordinator can't make that decision on his own, saying I'm going to onside to kick this thing without the head coach knowing. So something's fishy here. I don't know what it is, but if Pete Carroll says I didn't authorize an onside kick, there could have been a communication problem. But boy, I tell you what, this is pro football. You can't do that. You can't make that. Miscommunication.
Coach Fassel with Armin and Levac on 104.5 The Team. Hey, Coach, we've seen a different Coach Coughlin this year. For the first time in Coach Coughlin's career, he's playing some music before practice. He's having his guys, he's trying to get them play more freely during practice, a little more lively in that manner. He now is having his guys on Fridays. You know, he's giving them the day off. He's never done that in his career. Jerry Reese said this past offseason, we talked to Tom. We told Tom there's some tweaks that he needs to make. He's 69 years old now, Coach Fassel. How difficult is that for Coach Coughlin to adjust and change things after he's been doing it one way? How much credit should we be giving him for these adjustments?
I know the first year they went to the Super Bowl, it was in Tom's fourth year, and I know that a lot of people weren't happy and not having fun, and he was told, you better lighten up a little bit. And he lightened up. To his credit, he lightened up. Because Tom's a hard-driving guy, and if you're not having fun, you're not getting the maximum amount of players. And once he realized, I got to back up, I got to relax, I got to smile once in a while, I got to pat guys on the back, then they got all happy, and they went all the way and won the Super Bowl.
Wow, I hope it's that easy. Let's play some more music, guys. Let's lighten up. Let's have fun. I like that. Coach Fassel with Armin and Levac. Coach, thank you so much. What are you up to during the season now?
Oh, I do a lot of radio shows, looking at some different things in the football business, and just trying to figure out. I'm enjoying life right now, and put a lot of years in where you didn't have much of a life other than football, and I'm kind of enjoying it right now. Watching my son coach and going to some games.
So there's no chance you'll go back and fix my Raiders? You can't do that for me?
Well, probably not. They just hired a coach.
Yeah.
I'm happy with him and all, but I mean, come on, man.
After week 1, Levac already wants them fixed.
I'm jumping ship. I am. It's bad.
Right.
I've seen this movie too many times, Coach.
That's right.
Coach Fassel, we love the opportunity to pick your brain. Thanks so much for giving it to us today. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Good to be with you.
All right, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye-bye.